I got to tell you, I'm really excited. We started digging into some metrics and some projections, and it's all good when we make the right decisions, which we will. So I can't wait to share this with you today. I'm going to do most of the talking. It's nothing pretty. It's not graphs and all that kind of good stuff. It's just text. But it's really about the message that I want to share with all of you. So 2010, not too bad. We had an increase of 22% year over year in digital revenue. So that was pretty significant. 1 full year of having our sales staff completely engaged. We incorporated training into our curriculum, which included 3 levels of certification. It wasn't exactly Six Sigma, but we did have pre-work, in-classroom training, role plays in sales meetings with our sales folks and all of their colleagues, as well as they had to go out in the field and present one of our digital products with a manager to get certified. And there were 3 programs throughout that process. So we made sure that our sales folks were actually trained in digital. So we started out really basic on what a banner ad is and cost per thousand, and went all the way up to what social media and mobile and video mean to us. So it was very intense to put 80 people through that training within about 9 months, but it worked, and we saw the fruition of the results of that engagement. We also have an embed rep team. There's only 4 of them. They report directly to me. They are sales specialists. They're embedded with numerous teams. They work across the sales department, and they are specialists in the digital world. We also developed a program last year called the Web Sales Champion program. So I have these 4 embed reps with 80 salespeople. It's basically impossible to touch every person every day. So we had all these superstars that were sitting on our current teams who were engaged with digital, who we wanted to give them an opportunity to grow their knowledge as well as their leadership skills. So we developed a program for them, which they actually attend our weekly sales meetings, and they take that information back to their sales teams. And they work with their team members. They go on 4-legged calls. They share communication, best practices. They're there as a specialist. They're working hand in hand with the embed rep while still maintaining their current list as far as their advertisers, and they are selling print and digital. So we've seen great traction in this program, and we started out with, I believe, 7, and we've grown to about 23 right now. So the teams are starting to say, hey, this one was great, we want them to keep coming, but let's add another one on. So we're getting more and more information. You know, the goal is that everybody eventually is a web sales champion. We also launched Things to Do. That's on tampabay.com. That site was launched last spring. That was the first site in the history of the Times that was built specifically for advertising. It has obviously the editorial backfill as far as content. But when we sat down and looked at what we wanted to present and what advertising opportunities there were for our advertisers, we really started to think outside the box. And this took us out of our comfort zone. This wasn't just the banners and buttons, you know, the helicopter that flies across the page everybody hates on our site now, right? Okay, this was above and beyond that. These were fixed logos that would link to our client's website. They included sponsorships and naming rights, sponsored calendar listings, all kinds of really out-of-the-box things that currently our vendor who serves all of our ads can't even traffic through DoubleClick. So we had to get really manual on how we were tracking all this, and reservation calendars, et cetera. And we just saw that the volume of business was growing, and we were getting more and more manual, and we really needed to find some systems around getting more of an efficient manner around our ad order entry systems. And we're working on that. We've made progress throughout the year, but we see more in the future. But really thinking outside the box for our advertisers. From the Things to Do stemmed an iPhone app, which I'm sure you've all have seen that, as well as all the ads. We are proud to announce that we have 20,000 downloads. We launched this the end of last year, so that's pretty significant for the marketplace. This is a program, if you don't have an Apple device, you can still take a look at it on your web browser. You can't download it, but you can get the general gist of it. And basically what it is using that really rich content that our editorial staff has been developing for years about all the local venues and restaurants, events, all that kind of good stuff, and giving the consumer an opportunity to be able to search. And then we built advertising around it, where we allow our advertisers to be able to develop loyalty programs so they can actually have people favor their business, and they can send out coupons and special announcements, and it has a self-serve functionality. So It's Saturday night, and one of our restaurants is already a customer of ours, and they've used all their credits to push out information to those consumers who have said, you know what, I really like this business. I want to get a coupon from them, et cetera. And it's Saturday night, and they're like, wow, I ran out of my coupons, and it's 5 o'clock, and I have no reservations. What am I going to do? You can't get a print ad in. Can't get an online ad up. Maybe you can send out an e-blast, but how many people on Saturday night are looking at their email? So what can you do? Everybody has their phone, usually attached to their hip or in their purse. You bring this, your keys, and your purse or wallet, right, everywhere you go. So they can actually go on our site, and they can purchase additional announcements, and for as low as $9.99, and they can push out a notification immediately that says, hey, tonight only, call this number for a reservation. We're doing half-price bottles of wine. So they can drum up business immediately on a Saturday night without having to wait for us. So we see it as an opportunity for our advertisers to have that direct engagement and communication with their consumers, and we're offering them the platform to do this. We've seen a lot of success around this. The advertisers have embraced it. We also develop marketing materials around it that can be customized for our advertisers. So you'll see in some restaurants our Things to Do app and all of our brand along with the restaurant's logo. They'll have window clings, they'll have posters, bill stuffers, all that kind of good stuff. So it was really thinking outside the box and getting into this world. I will tell you, I presented the iPhone app at NAA in Dallas a couple months ago. Alvin was there. And since then, I've gotten calls from newspapers across the country wanting to know if we were reselling our technology, what are best practices, et cetera, et cetera. And I will tell you that we are exploring this as a revenue stream to repurpose. Why can't we be a vendor, right? And we have a lot of vendors that we give money to. We should be able to do that too. So we're looking at that. And then video, the editorial staff has video on our site. They have a video department. It's fairly small when you look at what our needs are. And last year, we decided, wow, we want to sell video, but we have no way to actually produce video. So that's where Toya came into play, and we developed a position. And she originally was in advertising and now has moved to marketing. We can produce full-length videos for our advertisers at a very reasonable price, of course, using it in their advertising, because we're pushing them to purchase the marketing piece of that. We have a long ways to go in that area. We have seen growth, but we have issues within our current system where you can't search for video. We don't have enough traffic, enough people playing them. They're hard to find. Our players aren't set up exactly how they should be. So we've had success around it, but there's so much more that is available around that we're just not there yet. And then social media. End of last year, beginning of this year, as we were hearing from our advertisers in the community, everybody and their brother was knocking on their door and saying that they were a social media expert. So we realized there's a revenue stream here. So we developed a relationship with a vendor, and we are now offering full social media services to all of our advertisers. What we have found is not only has it helped us to gain incremental revenue around advertising by going down this road and offering these services, but it's also allowed us to open the door to new businesses that normally will not talk to traditional media. So now we can knock on the door and say, we're the St. Pete Times, we want to talk to you about social media. That's the buzzword, everybody hears it. It allows us to start the conversation. Even if we don't sell social media, we don't care. We've actually had some print sales that started with social media, and we never sold anything in social media. We don't care, who cares? We just want the revenue, right? So this is a move in the right direction. I will also share with you a really quick story, then I'll move on, I'll promise, that social media is also a defensive move. Okay, so let me share with you. Down in Brandon, we sat in front of a customer and started talking about social media. They're already a print customer of ours. And immediately the advertiser said, yeah, I already got my budget spent for the year. It's what, April. I already have my budget spent for the year. I'm not interested, et cetera, et cetera. So the sales manager and the sales rep continued and said, well, let me just share with you what we are doing, and went through the pitch. But at the end of the pitch, the advertiser said, wow, you're right. I've got to be there. That's where my customers are. I don't know enough about it. I don't have time. I can't hire a social media expert on my staff. I need some help. So how much is it? And we have all different packages, of course. What they were pitching them was like $500 a month. The woman said, well, I need to do this. Let me figure it out. So she goes to her desk and she pulls out her folders with all of her advertising that's been laid out for the year, all spent. And she pulls out the Osprey Observer, which is the newspaper in Brandon, correct? Pulls out their folder and says, I can cut $500 from them each month and put it towards social media. And we got the buy. And so the rep and the manager shared this with me, and I said, okay, let me ask you a question. If somebody else was sitting in front of that advertiser, whether it was the guy working out of his mom's garage or a local agency, whose folder would they have pulled? Do we know? We don't know. They could have pulled the St. Pete Times folder. So this is a defensive move, an offensive move. We got to play in this world. And I will tell you that when you're up against local agencies as well as individuals and you use the St. Pete Times brand as your lead along with social media, it's a no-brainer. We're not going away. Our cell phone's not going to be disconnected. We already have a relationship with you or a relationship within the community, and we've seen a lot of success around this. It's only going to grow. So, all good. So, how can we continue to grow? We have that 22% year over year just against our own numbers, but how are we going to continue to grow in the future around digital? And then, can we continue to maintain our current revenue? These are the questions that we're asking ourselves every day. So instead of us just guessing, we decided to go ahead and get some actual research and projections and look at the numbers to see where we're at. And I will tell you that the way we're currently doing business, we can't. We are so reliant on banners and buttons. That's that helicopter and the banner up on top. We're so reliant on that when you see the trend in the industry and the decrease in spending in that area, if we continue on the path we're going, we're not going to be able to survive. Not in the digital area. Those banners and buttons have become a commodity. In fact, there's ad networks, there's remnant networks. Our average CPM is about $9.20. Okay, that's pretty good. The ad networks, the remnant folks, they can sell that same inventory for 75 cents. Okay? Is it effective anymore? It still works for our advertisers, but when it's local. Is it as effective as other forms of advertising? No, no. And I love the example of me as a digital sales manager. We ran some ads in the newspaper around social media, and I started getting calls. And I said to the team, anybody who says print doesn't work is crazy. Print works, because I'm getting all these leads from an ad that we ran in the newspaper.